Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video.
I, 32 female, thought things were finally going my way. I had just bought a new house, my first house ever, and I was excited about starting a new chapter in my life. But things weren't as easy as I thought. It all started with a message from my stepsister, Angel, 23, informing me that she was planning to move in with me after I had shared the news in our family group chat. I was taken aback by her demand since I had no idea she was even considering moving in with me. We had never talked about this before, and she had no reason to assume I would be okay with this. She and I had never been that close. We barely got along for the sake of our parents' relationship. Our parents had gotten together a few years ago when the both of us were already adults, so it's not like we grew up together or had a bond like real siblings. I texted Angel back, letting her know that I was not planning to live with anyone in my new house since I had worked hard to make the money to afford it. I was single and enjoying my freedom together with my two dogs and had no desire to live with anyone else in my new house. Angel didn't take the news very well and instantly started complaining about how I was not willing to share any of the blessings I had with my family. I felt like she was pushing it since I had worked for years to afford this house. It was not like it had just been given to me for free. So I held my ground and told her I would not allow her to come live with me. My house, my rules. Besides, she never really liked visiting my apartment before since she told me once that she had asthma and my dog's hair triggered it. So I don't know what she was even thinking when she asked me to move into my house since my dogs would most definitely be around. Soon after I rejected Angel's demand, my stepmom called me. She was really angry. She insisted that my stepsister be allowed to move in with me, and if I refused, I would lose my inheritance from my father. She told me that she would make sure that my dad would not leave me with a single penny, and that she would ask him to put only my stepsister into his will so she would inherit everything. I couldn't believe she was trying to blackmail me into doing what she wanted. It made me feel like my family was only after my money and didn't care about me as a person. It was really hard to believe that my father would go along with something like this. So I decided to talk to my father directly and explain the situation to him. I told him that I had worked really hard to buy this house and that I didn't want to share it with anyone, let alone my stepsister, who I didn't have a good relationship with. I also told him that I was hurt by the fact that he would consider cutting me out of his will just because I didn't want to let my stepsister move in with me. To my surprise, my father was very understanding. He listened to me patiently and told me that he would never cut me out of his will. He said that he was proud of me for buying my own house and that he understood why I didn't want to share it with anyone. Then my dad started to tell me things I never knew about my stepmom. He revealed that my stepmom had been manipulating him for years, putting a wedge between him and his children from his previous marriage, aka me and my older brother. She had been controlling and demanding, insisting on things that were not in my father's best interest. He had tried to push back against her demands, but she was always one step ahead. As my father opened up to me, I realized that he had been suffering in silence for a long time. He had been unhappy with the situation, but didn't know how to get out of it. It broke my heart to see him like this, but he asked me not to do anything about the situation. I think he was even a bit afraid of my stepmom and still loved her despite her toxic behavior. After I refused to let Angel move in with me, my stepmom and stepsister started spreading rumors about me to the rest of the family. They were telling everyone that I was selfish and greedy for not letting Angel move in and that I was only thinking about myself. A few days later, my dad reached out to me and told me he had finally figured out what was really going on. My stepmom had been secretly funneling money out of my dad's accounts and using it to support Angel's lavish lifestyle. She had been buying expensive clothes and jewelry and even paying her rent. It turns out that my stepmom was using Angel as a pawn to get her hands on my dad's money, and when I refused to let her move in with me, it threatened her plan. My dad had no idea that any of this was going on, and he was shocked and devastated when he found out. My dad was appalled by their behavior and immediately cut them both off financially. As soon as there was no more money coming in Angel and her stepmom's way, they started calling me and apologizing for their behavior, probably in hopes of me convincing my dad to give them money again. They told me they were sorry for threatening me and they acknowledged that they had been in the wrong, but obviously I had no interest in letting them back in my dad's and my lives, just so that they could try to suck more money out of our wallets. My dad and I are both hard-working people, and I really don't want to see my dad get taken advantage of again. It's been a tough time for my family, but I am grateful to have my dad's support and for standing up for myself and my boundaries. I never could have imagined that my stepmom and stepsister would go to such lengths to try and manipulate me and my dad. Lesson learned. Always trust your gut and don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, even if it means going against your family. It's been a few months since my father cut my stepmom and stepsister out of his life, and things have been much better. My father is much happier and he's finally free from the toxic relationship that he had been in for so many years. He's been spending more time with me and my brother, and we've been able to rebuild our relationship with him. As for me, I've been enjoying my new house and my newfound freedom. I've made some renovations to the house and have been making it truly my own. I've even adopted another dog, and my little family is thriving. I've also been able to repair my relationship with my stepsister. After my father cut her out of his life, she reached out to me to apologize for the way she had treated me. She explained that she had been under a lot of pressure from our stepmom to try and take advantage of me, and that she had never really wanted to move in with me in the first place. She had been too afraid to stand up to our stepmom and had gone along with her plan, even though it made her uncomfortable. I could tell that she was being sincere, and I decided to forgive her. We started to bond a little, and she's even come to visit me a few times to play with my pups. It's been nice to finally have a relationship with her that isn't based on manipulation or pressure from our stepmom. She even came to visit despite my dogs being there. She told me she actually thinks they are super cute, but her asthma doesn't allow her to get one herself. I, 32, female, thought the drama with my stepsister, Angel, 23, and stepmom had finally ended, but it seems like it's only just begun. A few days ago, Angel contacted me to tell me that she was pregnant and has nowhere else to go. She said that she's been kicked out by her mom and she needs a place to stay. She then asked me if she could come to stay with me. I was taken aback by this news, and at first, I didn't know how to respond. On one hand, I felt sorry for Angel and I understood that she was going through a tough time. On the other hand, I didn't want to open up my home to someone who had caused me so much stress in the past. I'm also not in a position to support another person, especially since I've only just bought my own house and have my bills to pay. I tried to be diplomatic in my response to Angel, telling her that I needed time to think about it. She said that she understood, but then she started to guilt me, saying that she had no one else to turn to and that she didn't want to end up on the street. I could tell that she was trying to manipulate me, and it made me feel uneasy. I also spoke to my dad about the situation, and he advised me not to let Angel stay with me. He said that it was not my responsibility to take care of her and that he was worried that she would cause more trouble for me in the long run. He also said that he would do what he could to help her find a place to stay. I still haven't made a final decision on whether to let Angel stay with me or not. I'm torn between feeling sorry for her and not wanting to risk my well-being. I know that whatever decision I make will have consequences, and I'm just trying to weigh my options. I'll keep you all updated on what happens. Thanks for all the support and advice you've given me so far. Angel and I have had some tense conversations since she first asked to stay with me. I made the difficult decision not to let her move in with me, but I offered to help her in other ways, like finding resources for pregnant women and helping her look for a new place to live. At first, Angel seemed grateful for my help, but she soon became angry and lashed out at me. She accused me of abandoning her and not caring about her or her baby. I tried to explain my reasons for not letting her stay with me, but she wouldn't listen. Despite all this drama, I've been trying to stay focused on my own life and goals. I've been working hard at my job and spending time with friends who support me. I've also started seeing a therapist to work through some of the emotions and stress that this situation has caused me. I know that I made the best decision I could for myself, and I'm proud of myself for standing up for my own needs and boundaries. Thank you all for your support. I think you should let Angel stay with you. She's your stepsister, and your family should support each other in times of need. Plus, it sounds like she's going through a tough time, and it's the right thing to do to help her out. I disagree with the other comments saying you should let Angel stay with you. She's caused you a lot of stress and drama in the past, and it's not fair for her to expect you to bail her out now. It's your house, and you have the right to say no. I think you should help Angel find a temporary solution like a shelter or short-term rental instead of letting her stay with you. That way, you're still providing support without putting your well-being at risk. Wife, female 31, and I, male 33, went out to eat at a local joint. I like the food and beer at this place, and it's also somewhere that is not dog-friendly. I especially enjoy that the patio doesn't allow dogs. I enjoy a good patio when the weather is nice and I can enjoy a few drinks. More than once I've had dogs ruin a good time, so I seek out places that don't allow them anymore. Today's trip to the restaurant was not what I had hoped. We take a seat on the patio and I see that there is a dog a few tables over. It is medium-sized and very furry. I order my drink and also ask the server what is up with the dog. He just says it is a service dog and there isn't much we can do. They let it in. I get my drink and keep an eye on it. My wife says to let it go and ignore it. I don't. It barks once. Then the owner, I guess a lady in her 20s, picks it up. She puts it on the seat next to her. Pretty sure it's a health code violation to allow a dog on the restaurant seat. Then the dog puts its paws on the table. The owner does not notice this. I speak up. She is a few tables over, so I'm like, "Hey, get your dog off the table and off the seat." She snaps back, "Mind your business." The dog starts barking at me. I let her know without cussing that it's gross to allow her dog on the table and seat. I also said service dogs don't bark at strangers. We went back and forth arguing. I tried to keep my cool, and she got angry at me. Finally, I just left some cash with a decent tip, and my wife and I left. So, AITA? Just to hopefully clear a few things up, why would a service dog put its paws on the table? Pretty sure that qualifies as misbehaving. There isn't the need to alert the table of anything, and the owner did not notice the dog put its paws on the table until I said something. If the bark was supposed to be an alert, the owner maybe would have taken some action to see what's going on with herself. There was nothing. She essentially ignored her misbehaving dog while carrying on a conversation with whoever she was with. YTA. I want to take a moment. You say your wife asked you to let it go and you didn't. You then caused a big scene over something that was quite literally not affecting you. Your wife asking before you escalated everything tells me that you might do this kind of crap often. Beyond being rude to another customer, you humiliated your wife by publicly throwing a little tantrum and disrupting other people's meals. Say what you want, but a man yelling at someone across the room is a lot more annoying and disruptive than the service dog in his seat. Your emotional outbursts affect more than just you. Grow up and seek therapy for your anger issues before you continue to embarrass your wife. I assume the U.S.? Federal law states that dogs are indeed not allowed in shopping carts or on tables or whatever. Dogs must be well behaved, and they must perform a service for the disabled person other than being cute, cuddling. So you can kick out a dog that is poorly behaved even if it's really a service dog. However, you should have let the employees handle it. It's not for you to shout at her. ESH. My wife has been sleeping in our 4-year-old daughter's room while the other bedroom is remodeled, and she has a tray she stores all her meds in. ranging from Aleve and birth control pills to powerful antidepressants and anxiety medication. About 15 different medications in all. She's always been careless with her pills. I frequently will find loose ones on the ground or in laundry hampers, not to mention laying in the tray she stores the medicine bottles in. The problem is, she keeps it on top of a dresser in my daughter's room, and my daughter can easily reach it. Compounded with the fact that every morning and night she takes all of these pills in front of our daughter, and the little one is really into imitating us and doing the same things we do, and I'm really uncomfortable with all these drugs being stored the way they are, child-proof bottles or not. I've asked her before to move them to the upper shelf in the bathroom linen closet, and she said she would, but hasn't done it. It had been several weeks, and last night I calmly told her that either she needed to move her meds that night or that I would do it for her. Didn't yell or call her names, didn't swear or anything confrontational. Her response was a bunch of gibberish about how I shouldn't be calling her a bad mom, and that the pills are fine where they are because our daughter has never tried to play with them before. I repeated my offer to move them for her if she didn't want to do it, and she said she would do it, and then didn't talk to me the rest of the night. Well, this morning, I go upstairs to get my daughter dressed and see the goddamn pills still in the bedroom. So I move them to the bathroom closet. She's going to be pissed when she gets home and I don't care. AITA for insisting she moves her pills away from the reach of our 4-year-old? NTA because the pills definitely need to be moved for your daughter's safety. But maybe ask your wife why she feels the need to keep the pills in that spot. In a calm moment when you can talk this through without accusations. I suspect she may feel that she needs to keep them in the same place so she remembers to take them or something similar. By switching their place, her whole routine may be disrupted, which can be very destabilizing and upsetting for some people. Obviously, I don't know if this is the case, but based on her response, something else is going on with her. Be curious and look for solutions together. ESH, your wife is a bad mother. She is risking your daughter's life on a daily basis. You are the AH for not taking definitive action the instant you became aware of your wife's habit of leaving medication lying around. Checking for loose pills won't work. It's easy to miss one, and your daughter could get to the pills before you find them. You need to tell your wife that if she doesn't immediately move her pills to a locked container in the locked drawer, you and your daughter will move out. Do you realize that if Child Protective Services learned of the dangerous substance protocols in your house, your daughter would be removed? Okay, so one thing you need to totally understand is that both of you have been keeping deadly drugs where your 4-year-old can easily reach them for weeks. Not your wife, both of you. Why have you let this continue for more than a day? How could you not move the drugs yourself the first time you saw them where your daughter could reach them? Everyone here is going to ask, what the hell is wrong with your wife? And that's a good question. There's some huge disconnect in her brain that she doesn't understand how dangerous this is. But you do seem to understand, sort of at least, that this could literally kill your own child and it took you weeks to do anything about it? And for that, even though both of you really, really suck, I'm voting YTA. But for the opposite of the reason you're asking, phrasing the question in such a way that you could possibly not be an a-hole in this situation is ridiculous.